the Steelers have a little bit of a quarterback dilemma of their own because they have 3 capable guys that can take the mantle week 1, that can maybe do something.
They have 1.5. I don't even know who the half is.
Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, and Kenny Pickett. Now, John, you've talked to me off the air multiple times, and you've raved about how much you love Kenny Pickett and how much of a franchise quarterback you think he is. So I'm assuming you think Kenny Pickett should win this quarterback battle because you think he's one of those guys that can elevate the Steelers from one of the teams that you don't really care about to a team that, oh, now you're seeing they got a quarterback. That's their guy.
I'll be honest with you, Joel. This isn't a quarterback competition. Mitch Trubisky is the week 1 starter. And the fact of the matter is, you bring him in, you look at the Jets, you look at incompetent organizations, they're going to throw a quarterback out onto the fire.
You had to throw that shot out there? That was such a stray.
I got to keep it real. Many organizations, they want to see the franchise quarterback. They're just going to throw him out there and say, go figure it out. Sometimes live, sometimes they're trying to be Sam Darnold. And it's, oh, the quarterback's ruined. He's defective. You look at the Steelers' schedule to start the season, it's a little bit loose. But what the Steelers are going to do, the reason they brought in Mitch Trubisky for 2 years, $14 million, is so they can allow Kenny Pickett to get those mental reps. And then he's going to come in and be the starting quarterback. I expect Mason Rudolph to be traded, and if he can't get moved for a late day 3 pick, he'll probably be cut. So I take a quarterback in the 7th round who can kind of be our new Josh Dobbs. But for the Steelers, ultimately, they're in no rush to start Kenny Pickett because they want him to get those mental reps. He had a really good showing against the Seahawks' 4th-string team in preseason. He was quick. He was decisive. He showed good mobility. And he made a very good throw to Tyler Vaughns for a game-winner 20-yard touchdown. This Steelers team doesn't need Kenny Pickett day 1. Ultimately, the defense and Mike Tomlin are going to be what keeps them competitive. And so long as it's not a shootout, the Steelers can beat almost any team in the NFL, outside the ones with a top 7 quarterback. We beat the Bills last year, week 1. We can beat almost any team when you have an elite head coach, an elite defense that's got refinement.
The Jaguars beat the Bills last year. Were you saying the Jaguars beat any team?
Okay. That is valid, but the Steelers, there is a level of gravitas in Mike Tomlin.
Yes, he's a great coach.
The way he can promote players, the way he can get the most out of them. He, to me, is a top 5 coach, and even if you're a Mike Tomlin hater, you can't deny it's a top 10 coach that's proven it.
The only argument, I do think Tomlin is a phenomenal coach. The only argument I have against it is the Steelers, their organization, you guys shove it in everyone's faces how many Super Bowls you have. You win all these Super Bowls, whatever. Last 10 years, what has Tomlin done to really accomplish anything in the playoffs?
That is a very, very valid point, but I said this before, not on this show. The best team in the playoffs does not always win.
No, but over a 10-year span, you would think sometimes they would.
But do you look at the Steelers' injuries with Le'Veon Bell only for 2 playoff runs and then he was gone, and say, oh yeah, with D'Angelo Williams not being healthy, Martavis Bryant often doing the weed, or running backs where Josh Harris, who's now a bodybuilder, Fitzgerald Toussaint, is he in the NFL? Let's think about it after his playoff game. Definitely not. And even in years where James Conner was hurt, was Benny Snell. And look, Benny Snell, I love the nickname. He's terrible.
But I don't disagree. But it's like if it was like a 2-year run where you like had Tomlin and a good court, like it was 10 years really where like you had Ben, you had the quarterback, you had Tomlin, you had the coach, you had weapons. Sure, Le'Veon missed some time, AB missed some time, Martavis, but like overall, damn near every year you guys had weapons and you had defenses. So like you had this decade run.
I think
the big thing.
I want to ask this question: is Mike Tomlin just, at least in the past 10 years, is he basically Marvin Lewis?
Oh my God,
that feels rude. Like my soul, that pains me to say. I can't know.
You look at Miles Jack. The Steelers brought him in. A lot of these free agents, players are not going to Cincinnati to play for Marvin Lewis, though he's a fine coach. Players look at Mike Tomlin and say, I want to play for you. There is a standard set in Pittsburgh where it's nothing less than a championship, not a playoff win. And yes, the Steelers not won a playoff game since 2016. I was in the 7th grade, 8th grade then. It's been a long time. And there's 2 reasons for that. I talked about the injuries, unfortunate circumstances. The other is the greatest dynasty in my lifetime. It's the New England Patriots. I mean, straightforward, we were not being Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski. Defensively, you look at the Steelers, they've put together a great defense with stars, and their linebackers are always going to produce. But there's always been holes. You look at the safety position, we splurge and go draft Terrell Emmons too early. Same with the authority Burns. Ari Burns is the definition of a bust. Devin Bush, he looks like a bust. I'm a big Devin Bush guy, in training camp, they're asking him, Devin, what do you feel like you have to prove to make sure in the Steelers next season? He just goes, well, I don't know. Like, what do you mean? Like, well,
Not a great answer.
they declined your player option after trading up, making you their highest draft pick since Plaxico Burress. I mean, like, what do you think is the steps so you can make sure you're on the Steelers next year? Like, I'll still be in the NFL, so, we'll see.
He said that?
Yeah, we'll see.
Not great.
As a Steelers fan, the same myself. Last year, this was a guy who was basically no presence in the running game. Now, to be fair, his linebacker coach had an unfortunate passing in his family, so he lost him in the middle of the season. His 2 defensive ends are out. But this dude literally did not try and run defense, and he often was not a presence in pass pro either as an off-ball linebacker. Just saying, he was terrible last year. He lost his second season to a torn ACL. We've missed on many draft picks because we often reach on guys. And then when we play New England, Rob Gronkowski or even Chris Hogan tears us up because we can't match up defensively. They're starting to fill out those rough edges, though. You look at Larry Ogunjobi after Stephon Duo unfortunately retired. He was a very solid pickup. Hopefully he can stay healthy. Pickens. I think Miles Jack. We'll talk about
Okay. We'll get into it.
Pickens is awesome. The defense is only getting better and better, and you have the stars. I think it's all about continuity with them, and they've had a lot of unfortunate events. But you beat the Jaguars if we have Ryan Shazier and he doesn't get paralyzed. I mean, that in and of itself, I think is one of the 2 or 3 biggest reasons why we didn't go to the Super Bowl.
So because of Ryan Shazier, you couldn't beat Blake Bortles.
Yes, we couldn't stop the run, and then Blake Bortles hung up 45 points on us, and then instead of trading
45.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and their defense
and Ryan
had 4
Shazier
interceptions.
Eliminates 45.
He was a Pro Bowler within 3 years.
He was fantastic.
And then we go up to get Devin
great.
Bush with the 10th overall pick. We could have used that on a cornerback or a safety that would have promoted this defense a little bit further.
And
I think
just
that's
maybe
the reason why we
drafted
haven't
another
won the
bust.
playoffs.
So, but you
drafted another bust.
and you
Yeah,
also
tore his ACL.
You also just said that you think the Steelers are kind of rounding out the edges of this roster,
Yeah.
and you think you're probably a more complete team now that you have been in years past. Would you agree?
When I look at
Disagree?
the 2019 roster that was 8-5 to start the season, yes.
Okay, but now you have Ben in 2019. Was that the year? No, that was the year he got hurt, right? That was the
Yeah.
Mason Rudolph year. But you look at the quarterback situation you might have a more complete roster, but this is the worst quarterback situation you've had. I mean, Mason Rudolph for a year, but
Look, I love Ben. He led the NFL last year in fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives. And in the end of the season, he brought his team together and he gave us an opportunity. But Kenny Pickett right now is better than what Ben was last 2 seasons.
I don't
and so
disagree.
was Mitch. And
That's
the
fair.
reason why is what we're going to see, what we saw in the preseason game. We bring in Matt Canada last year to basically promote a short passing attack because Ben, after having the tendon in his elbow literally ripped off and reattached, by the way, he's 39 years old and he can't move. So he's losing a lot of throwing power and a lot of accuracy on his deep ball because his lower body's not there. No, by the way, he's got the steal as well. Okay.
it's a nice, yeah. You put it in a nice way.
So with that in mind, the Steelers, they couldn't move out the pocket. Matt Canada's trying to promote this college-style offense where he's got the quarterback rolling out. What Kenny Pickett reminds me of is Baker Mayfield and his ability to throw on the run. He's got a good arm. He's more mobile. He's more athletic than Baker. I think they're similar where, hey, look, they're probably not going to be top 10 quarterbacks, but they're going to be well above average.
Baker has a way better arm than him.
Then talking about Baker's way better arm than Pickett or Pickett's way better arm than Baker?
Baker has a better arm than Pickett.
I think Pickett's got a good arm, and I think Baker's got a mini cannon. The fact of the matter is,
Mini cannon's crazy. Go on.
that's reasonable. For a mini guy, he's got a decent one. When you surround this...
Yeah.
Laughing at me?
He said for a minute, guys got a decent one. Oh, nah.
We're still talking about his arm?
No, we're talking about Kenny Pickett now.
His arm.
No, we're talking about the offense as a whole.
I thought we were talking about his missile. Oh, his cannon. Sorry. Real quick.
Weird.
I do think if Kenny Pickett keeps on progressing, I think they should start him. I think he's doing better in training camp. He's promoted to the second team. His first game, he was 7 for 7. Now, I said it on last week's show. He wasn't overly impressive. He just ran the offense. He made one really nice throw.
He was mid.
On the sideline.
Two.
It was one hash to the opposite sideline, and then the game winning touchdown. I thought those were 2 really nice throws. But for Kenny Pickett, this is a guy who played 5 years at Pitt. He started for 4 years. He has plenty of reps. He's not like someone who only played for. He was in there as a freshman. He didn't play. He started 2 years, and now he's in the NFL. Kenny Pickett has 4 years starting at Pitt. He's an older prospect than a lot of quarterbacks typically are. So I don't think he really needs to sit on the sideline for that long. Sure, if you want to start Mitch for a week or two just to get Pickett adjusted a little bit, I understand that. But coming out of the draft, most people's QB 1 and 2 were Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett, whichever way. The biggest reason why people were in favor of Pickett, he was NFL ready. That's what everyone said. He had anticipation. He could throw with touch. He could read an NFL defense. He was been a 4-year starter at Pitt. While Malik Willis had the physical tools, but he wasn't quite ready because he only started 2 years at Liberty. So we're expecting Kenny Pickett coming into draft season. He's NFL ready. He's ready to go. Now, in training camp, he's got better. Preseason, he looked pretty good. Not great, but he controlled the offense. And now, all of a sudden, we're like, wait, let's see what Mitch has. I think he's been a 4-year starter at Pitt. He has a chance to start.
I think ultimately it doesn't matter because if Mitch starts, he's losing the job by week 6.
Yeah, okay.
And then Mason Rudolph, let's say he's a second-string quarterback, he's losing the job in 3 weeks.
Pickett's the second string right now.
All right, so that
He's
means
moving up the depth chart. Yeah.
Kenny Pickett's starting by week 5, week
No.
6.
So here's the thing. Mitch, he better look over his shoulder because if he has 2 bad weeks, he's gone. It's like the Steelers' schedule. They start off in Cincinnati. They're not going to have Pickett start on the road. Then the reason why, let's put it this way. Number one, the gap between Trubisky and Pickett to me is not a gap. I think they're right there neck and neck, quite frankly. But when you invest in a guy, and this is my problem with the Najee Harris pick, when you invest a first-round pick in a guy, you want to push all your chips to that pick hitting. And so if Kenny Pickett, you don't want to throw him out there against the Jets, and then you go up against Josh Allen and Tom Brady, maybe the 2 best quarterbacks in football, one of which on the road. That's super tough for any young quarterback, and that can kill their confidence to a certain degree. You want to push all those chips, so they're going to go up against Tua in Week 7, and then Jalen Hurts in Week 8.